Longtermism is an ethical stance which gives priority to improving the long-term future. I wanted to learn more about this, so I bought a book called What We Owe the Future. It is written by an Oxford University professor, MacAskill. Let's zoom out for a moment and look at our history and the future from a larger perspective. The universe started about 13.8 billion years ago. The earliest life form started about 3.7 billion years ago. First animals about 600 million years ago. Homo sapiens about 300,000 years ago. Agriculture 10,000 years ago. Industrial revolution about 250 years ago. Now we are here. We have about 300,000 years behind us. Typical mammal species last for about 1 million years. That means we probably have about 700,000 years in front of us. That is a pretty long period. But are we a typical mammal species? Humans have 100 times the biomass of any mammal that has ever walked the earth, and we have the technology. That can mean two things. We can wipe ourselves out from the face of the earth, or we can live much longer, practically as long as the sun can burn, which by current estimate is around 5 billion years. If by the development of technology we manage to spread among the stars, that could potentially be hundreds of billions of years. To accomplish this, we need to prevent future pandemics, wars, and other threats that can be existential, such as rogue artificial intelligence. Let's ask Emerson, a chatbot powered by GPT-3 language model. Is humanity at risk from AI?
If you mean by the rise of AI, then yes.
What can go wrong?
One of the most pressing issues with artificial intelligence is the lack of ethical oversight. With rapidly advancing technology, it's important that we ensure that the technology is used for good, not evil.
Do you have any suggestions on how can we prevent this?
The first step is to educate ourselves on the topic. We need to be aware of the potential dangers and challenges of artificial intelligence and be open to discussing them. We can also work to create regulations that will help protect us from rogue AI entities.
How would AI destroy humanity?
While there is no one answer to this question, some believe that artificial intelligence could lead to the extinction of humanity. Others worry that it could result in the enslavement of large sections of the population. Still, others believe that it could lead to a world where humans are no longer necessary.
What sort of actions would it take?
It's difficult to say exactly what would have to happen for AI to destroy humanity. However, some say that it would require a computer that was smarter than any human and access to massive amounts of data. It's also possible that AI could be self-replicating and would require no human supervision.
Would AI be able to take over the robots and use them as a weapon against humans?
That's a difficult question to answer because it's not clear exactly how intelligent the robots would have to be for that to be possible. However, it's definitely something to be concerned about.
Do you agree with Elon Musk when he says that AI is far more dangerous than nukes?
Yes, I do agree with him. AI is a very powerful technology, and if it's not handled correctly, it could be very dangerous.
Why?
Because AI can learn and evolve, whereas nuclear weapons can only be used by humans. One of the ways that could be a danger to our species is if we create artificial general intelligence, AGI, that can outpace our own intelligence. AGI could then decide that humans are a hindrance to their goals and might try to eliminate us.
The world's overall preparedness to manage health crises is not good. While it's not as bad as it could be in the prevention pillar, the global average score for this category is just 28.4 out of 100. And 113 countries show little to no attention to zoonotic diseases. That is, diseases that are transmitted from animals to humans, such as COVID-19, according to current knowledge. As you can see from the chart below, other categories also score far below the maximum of 100. With a global average prevention score this low and early detection and reporting score of only 32.3, the world seems dangerously unprepared to stop a future epidemic before it becomes a pandemic. In January 2022, there were 12,705 nuclear warheads worldwide, and almost 90% belonged to two countries, the US and Russia. Even though the number of atomic weapons worldwide has decreased since the Cold War, these two countries still possesses most of them. The United Nations General Assembly adopted the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons in July 2017. The treaty calls for eliminating nuclear weapons and encourages their eventual elimination under strict conditions. However, a forecasted budget for the atomic weapons program of the US shows that the investment in this area is increasing rather than decreasing. Similar attitudes are expected from the Russian government. Early humans lived in a state that today would be considered absolute poverty. Their lives were as short as 20 years. They could not imagine things that most of us have access to now, such as medicines, soap, and nutritious meals. Not to mention technologies such as internet or fast transportation like airplanes and high-speed rail. As a species, we are only at an early stage of our development. Can you imagine what the future humans would have access to if we conquer diseases and aging and reach levels of well-being that we cannot even see in science fiction movies? Let's imagine we are in 2622, 6 centuries in the future. Do you think we would feel lucky to be alive in this day and age, where cancer is cured and the average life expectancy is 100 years or more?
Doctor put me on Hennessy in 1972 because I had poor circulation. I take me a little shot glass straight.
Every day?
Yeah.
How would we feel if we looked at the past in 2022? Would we consider those times as undeveloped and primitive as we now consider the distant past that happened centuries ago? Author and historian Yuval Noah Harari says in his book Homo Deus, quote, "How rational is it to risk the future of humankind on the assumption that future scientists will make some unknown discoveries? Most of the presidents, ministers, and CEOs who run the world are very rational people. Why are they willing to take such a gamble? Maybe because they don't think they are gambling on their own future. In a capitalist world, the lives of the poor improve only when the economy grows. Protecting the environment is a very nice idea, but those who cannot pay their rent worry more about their overdraft than about melting ice caps." End of quote. This attitude contrasts with Longtermism and Professor MacAskill's opinion on the future of the human race. Should we worry about the non-existent future people that might or might not exist? How far in the future can we predict? Will there be the Third World War? Focusing on the long-term future might lead us to deprioritize more urgent matters, which are, let me think, pandemic, wars, weapon development, rights of LGBTQ+ people, and poverty elimination. What is your opinion on this? If you've enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. Thank you.